Hey, it's Brad, and there's some cool news from some great space telescopes we're going to chat about. Now, NASA has recently announced that they've confirmed the 5,000 exoplanet. And an exoplanet is an extrasolar planet, a planet around another star. So they have confirmed that there's at least 5,000 planets around other stars and other star systems beyond our own. Now, this is a big moment in exoplanet and astronomy, because the first one was actually only discovered back in 1992. Now, that planet was around a pretty terrible star, essentially a pulsar. So we kind of celebrate the first good one, and that was 51 Pegasi b, and that was discovered around a sun-like star. But regardless, we've only known about planets since the 90s. We've only been a generation, 20, 30 years, since we've actually known about planets around other stars. All through the rest of time and human history, we only knew of the planets in our own solar system. So this is a really big deal. And these 5,000, in fact, it's a little bit more now because they keep confirming more, are confirmed, signed, sealed, delivered exoplanets. And that's because of the way they're found. It's called the transit technique, and it's a lot like an eclipse. So imagine my face is a star, and my hand's a planet. Now, you're on Earth, the camera, and so what we do, we stare from Earth and we wait for the planet to move in front of the star, my face. And so as the star is blocked by the planet, we can see how much of the light from the star dips. Now, depending on how fast or slow the planet goes by can help us determine its orbit and how much of the light is blocked. So you can imagine if I move my hand closer to you, I'm blocking more of the star, my face. If I move it closer to my face, I'm blocking less. So we can use the size of the blocking and how long it lasts for to measure the property, the size, the orbit of that planet. But in order to make sure the planet is really real and not something else, maybe another star or some other astronomical object that we've been fooled, we need to see it at least 3 times or a few times. We need to make sure that it can go around a few different times. So we kind of have to monitor it to see its year. Now, let's take Mercury. So Mercury goes around the sun in every 88 or so days. Now, if we wanted to see a Mercury around another star, we'd have to wait at least 3 sets of 88 days. Now, that's not too bad. That's less than an Earth year. Now, let's say we want to monitor and find an Earth-like planet. So we need to wait 3 Earth years, so 3 years. Now, that's not too bad. But now let's take, say, a Jupiter or something like that, one of the further away planets. We need to wait, say, 12 years for it to go around once. So we have to wait at least 36, probably closer to 40 or even longer years for that planet to go around its star. So we have to wait a really long time. So there is a lot of monitoring, a lot of data, and a lot of observations that go into confirming these 5,000 planets. And in the process, tens of thousands of potentially more planets have been discovered, but waiting to be confirmed. And because of all these planets, we actually think there's planets everywhere. We think almost every star has probably at least one, if not more, planets going around it. There's about 300 billion stars in our Milky Way, so we think there's hundreds of billions, if not more, planets just in our own galaxy, and we're one galaxy of billions to trillions. So we think there's a lot of planets out there waiting to be discovered. So it's a really big momentous occasion to get the 5,000th planet confirmed, showing just how big our universe is. Now, talking about how big our universe is, we have another exciting discovery, but from the Hubble Space Telescope. Now, we've talked a lot about the James Webb Space Telescope, this new one coming online, getting ready to show us a new view of the universe, but Hubble, we haven't kicked it to the space curb. It's still going strong. It's still one of the most in-demand astronomical instruments or telescopes in the world, or even around the world. Now, the Hubble Space Telescope has found the most distant star. So this star is about 12.9 billion light years away. Now, a light year is how long it takes light to travel in a year. We kind of use it it's like a distance or time. Now, we could get a giant ruler. Well, we don't really have that giant of a ruler, but we could measure distance in kilometers, but it's going to be a gazillion, quite literally sometimes a decillion or octillion kilometers, some sort of weird number of kilometers. So that really isn't practical. But if we can measure it in light years, it tells us a very easy way of measuring how long it has taken for that light to reach us. So when we say a light year, it means the time light travels in a year. The sun is 8 light minutes away. It takes 8 minutes for the sun to leave there and reach us here on Earth. But we're about 150 million kilometers away. If we want to look at Alpha Centauri, so that's the nearest star to us besides the sun. It's near the Southern Cross, what we call the pointers. That is 4.2 light years away. So if you go out tonight and look at Alpha Centauri, the bright star near the Southern Cross, you will see that light as it was 4 years ago. So when we see a star 12.9 billion light years away, we are seeing it as it was 12.9 billion years ago. So this star is long gone, but that's okay. Now, one of the other interesting aspects is when that light left 12.9 billion years ago, our planet didn't exist. Our solar system didn't exist. We weren't even a twinkle in our parent star's eyes, so to speak. We were long in the future. But by seeing a star that far away, now the star is about 50 times the mass of our sun. It's big, but not that big. It's not one of the biggest stars we've ever discovered, but it is the furthest star. And this is a big goal in astronomy and astrophysics. When did the first stars come on? And finding when the first stars started is a lot like looking for the first human fossil. When did humans evolve or come onto this planet? How long have we been here for? How have we changed? How have we evolved? It tells us a lot about us as a species and life. And so does finding the first star. If we can figure out when the first stars were born, that tells us a lot about how stars have changed, how many generations, and yes, there are generations of stars, and with that, the planets that have gone around it. So it tells us a lot, not just about us, but quite literally everything and every possible living thing that may or may not exist in our universe. And it takes time for those first stars to form. It's not like the Big Bang happened and boom, we get stars. Stars take time to be formed. And after the Big Bang happened, it took time for the subatomic particles, the things that make up us to be formed. And then it took time for the atoms, and then the elements, and then those elements that come together to form gas, and then to form balls of gas, i.e. stars. And that takes millions to tens of millions of years, really, for that to happen. So finding when the first stars turned on, the first stars shined in the universe, is a big step in understanding quite literally the history of stars, planets, and even us. So this was a big discovery by the Hubble Space Telescope using a really cool technique called gravitational lensing. Quite simply, you can use gravity or massive amounts of gravity as a magnifying lens. And that can magnify things way in the distance. And so you kind of need to be at the right place at the right time. But luckily, space is really big and there's a lot of stuff in it. And sometimes you just get lucky to find one of these stars that is 12.9 billion light years away. And this is going to be a big focus of the James Webb Space Telescope, trying to find stars like this and even more, hopefully finding to the point where they don't see stars and we can see that first generation of stars in the universe. So 5,000 at least planets around other stars, and now seeing the furthest star in the universe and telling us a lot about how long it's taken stars to be around for. Some amazing things in space, and there'll be even more next week. So thanks for watching, and if you want to watch more, like and subscribe or follow on Facebook or YouTube. Thanks.